Marcus Albert Reno was a career military officer who served in the American Civil War and the Great Sioux War. He is most known for his role in the Battle of Little Bighorn, also known as Custer's Last Stand, where he was a senior officer serving under George Armstrong Custer. Reno's actions during the battle were controversial, and he was later court-martialed and dismissed from the Army. Marcus Albert Reno, born in Carrollton, Illinois, in 1834. A boy raised on the American frontier who dreamed of the life of a soldier. He graduated from West Point in 1857, standing in the middle of his class. His peers called him quiet, serious, often reserved. But soon the nation would tear itself apart, and Reno's military career would be forged in fire. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to help our community grow. During the American Civil War, Reno fought with distinction. He served in the cavalry, learning the brutal lessons of mounted combat in battles across Virginia and Maryland. He was wounded at Kelly's Ford, saw the carnage at Antietam, and rose to the rank of major. By 1876, Reno was no stranger to battle, but like many veterans of the Civil War, he carried invisible scars. He drank heavily, he brooded. He never reached the glory or fame of men like George Armstrong Custer, who, though reckless, basked in the glow of celebrity. Reno, by contrast, remained a shadowed figure, competent but never adored. On the morning of June 25, 1876, Custer spotted the great village sprawled along the river valley. Against the warnings of his scouts, he decided to divide his command, sending Reno forward while he himself would circle to attack from the north. The decision would prove disastrous. It was June 25, 1876, the day the 7th Cavalry rode into history. Custer ordered me forward to strike the Indian village along the Little Bighorn River. He himself would take 5 companies and ride north, circling the village. It was a bold plan, too bold perhaps. We moved 1.5 miles into the valley. The men were tense, horses restless. Then, from the distance, gunfire, sharp, echoing across the hills. Soon after, the enemy appeared. Warriors, not scattered, not fleeing, but rising in numbers I had never imagined. I ordered my men to dismount. We formed a skirmish line, rifles raised. At first the firing was steady. We thought we might drive them back. But then they kept coming. Hundreds, then more. Sioux, Cheyenne, Arapaho, warriors in paint on horseback, charging with fury. The village stretched for nearly 3 miles. Smoke curled above countless lodges. It was no small band. It was a nation, gathered in strength to defend its home. Reno's battalion numbered just over 140 men. Against them stood at least 1,000 warriors, perhaps more. Reno's orders were vague: attack, drive the enemy, create confusion. But what he faced was no scattered war party. It was the heart of the Sioux and Cheyenne fighting force. Our line could not hold. We fell back into a patch of timber by the river. The trees gave us cover. For 20 minutes we fought them off, bullets cracking, arrows thudding into trunks. Horses screamed, men cried out. It was a storm of sound and fire. Then came the breaking point. They flanked us. More and more poured in. If we stayed, we would be surrounded and destroyed. I gave the order, retreat to the bluffs. What followed was chaos. Men mounted in haste, some cut down before they could ride. Others plunged into the river, desperate to escape. I can still hear the water splashing, the shouts, the screams. Some drowned, weighed down by gear. Others fell beneath the warriors' guns and lances. But a portion of us reached the far bank. We scrambled up the bluffs, hearts pounding, the valley below alive with death. Reno's retreat cost him nearly 40 men in killed, wounded, and missing. But those who survived dug in on the bluffs, soon to be joined by Captain Frederick Bentine's battalion and the pack train. Together, about 350 soldiers would face the siege now known as the Battle of Reno Hill. On that hilltop we made our stand. We dug rifle pits, circled what wagons and mules we had left, and braced ourselves. The warriors attacked again, fierce and unrelenting. They rode around us, firing, shouting, pressing in. But we held, shot for shot, hour by hour. The sun burned above us, the dust choked us, and the cries of the wounded cut through the night. I remember sending men down the coulee for water, crawling on their bellies as bullets snapped overhead. Some never returned. We held for 2 days. 2 days of fire, thirst, and fear, each man knowing he might not see the dawn. From our hilltop, we could hear the battle to the north, the rattle of rifles, the crack of volleys. That was Custer, fighting his own fight. And then, silence. Terrible silence. We did not know then what had become of him. Only later did we learn the truth. Custer and every man with him wiped out, cut down to the last. Over 200 dead, their bodies left on the hillsides. On June 27th, relief arrived. General Terry and Colonel Gibbon reached the field, finding Reno's survivors exhausted, shaken, but alive. A mile away lay the bodies of Custer and his command, stripped, mutilated, left under the open sky. The battlefield was a scene of horror. News of the disaster shocked the nation. For many, Custer was a fallen hero. And Reno? Reno was accused of cowardice, of failing to support his commander. An inquiry was held in 1879. Reno defended himself, testifying to the overwhelming numbers and the chaos of battle. The court absolved him of wrongdoing, but his reputation never recovered. Later, Reno was court-martialed. He faced separate charges of misconduct and was dismissed from the Army. He lived out his final years in obscurity, dying in 1889. Marcus Reno, later he wrote, "History is written by those who do not carry the weight. I made choices no man should have to make. Some call them cowardice. I call them survival. But I will never forget the faces of the men who did not return, nor the sound of the guns on that day, when the Little Bighorn ran red." Nearly 80 years after his death, Marcus Reno was reburied with full honors at the Custer National Cemetery, among the very men whose fate was bound forever to his. His letter remains one of the most valuable windows into Custer's last stand. Not the words of a hero, nor a villain, but of a man caught in the storm of history.